For the last 17 years, Maryland Nursery and Daycare Center has been offering early childhood learning to communities around Mulago.
That's the slum area of Mulago, Katanga, Nsova, a few from Chevando, but mostly in the slums of here of Mulago.
But since schools were closed in March last year, early learning centers like this one have been sitting idle after falling into disuse. And this state of affairs is set to continue after the Ministry of Education called for these institutions to remain closed for the time being. For Shamim Nidede, a parent and early childhood learning expert, the task of educating her young child has now fallen on her shoulders. Nursery says she armed herself with all the information she would require to educate her 4-year-old.
So we started slowly, just asking, begin with what's there. That I made research and found out what are they supposed to be covering. So colors, how can you teach colors? How can you teach shapes?
But she cannot continuously do this by herself.
I thought I would teach a sound every day, and the kindergarten teacher said, no, don't. Please teach at least 1 week. But then I had 1 sound per week.
Nidede expounds on the importance of early childhood learning.
It should be able to develop the child physically. It should be able to develop the child mentally and intellectually. It should be able to the child should be developed emotionally, and the child should be developed spiritually.
Unfortunately, no Ratiba Kabanda, the proprietor of Maryland Nursery and Daycare, warns that not everyone can afford homeschooling. This is coupled with the fact that some parents are illiterate and don't have the time either.
Some of my parents didn't even go to school. They don't even have to write their names. How can you think that you can help the child at home? That is out. Now you help the child on what? Do they know what they are going to do?
Kabanda warns that learners missing out on this vital education could come back to haunt them and their community.
Most of us are mothers. When you get a child, you say at 3 years, the child has to be sitting. At 4.5, crawling. Now if the child is now 6 months not sitting, you say, what is happening to my child? That's what they are doing to these kids.
Whereas she accepts that closing nursery schools is necessary, Nirede says government should step in and support parents with the homeschooling of their children.
It's not easy for a parent, so parents need support. They need support, and they just don't need the support of saying do this, do that. Show them how to do it. And parents, I would encourage them to engage nursery teachers. Even if you can't afford them to come or let them sit down and tell you whatever is supposed to be covered and do it.
But Kabanda also insists that their education institutions should be reopened.
When is it ending? Have they told them it is ending within 1 year, 2 years? This thing can go on as long as 10 years.
Early childhood learning in Uganda has so far been left in the hands of private institutions. Joyce Nagato, NTV Weekend Edition.